This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we are heading back to South Africa, home of this week's future yacht, the wonderful new Balance 464. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking, what would Sylvia say? 3. Naval Gaze at a technology and or innovation that just might make life aboard a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old pre-owned comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the results to all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes. So let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across the Atlantic and south back down to South Africa and the yards of Robertson Caine, home of last week's guest yacht, the stunning new Leopard 46. We stay in South Africa, heading further east to the yards of Balance Catamarans and this week's future yacht, the new Balance 464. Finally, we take a hop back west to Klein Constantia Estate and this week's wine pairing, Klein Constantia Estate Red 2015. Klein Constantia, famous for reviving the historic Vin de Constance, secured the number 41 spot in the world's best vineyards top 50 for 2024. The estate traces its roots to 1685 when Governor Simon van der Stel planted vines on the southern slopes of Table Mountain. After falling into decline, the estate was lovingly revived in the early 1980s by a group of French and South African partners. Today, it's owned by the Lamarans family under the Vinmark banner, blending centuries-old Cape heritage with European winemaking savoir-faire. Perched at roughly 300 meters above sea level, the vines bask in cool Atlantic breezes that travel through Constantia Valley. Deep weathered granite and decomposed sandstone soils allow roots to dig down for moisture, giving the wines an elegant mineral backbone. Klein Constantia favors old world restraint, small batch fermentation in open tanks, gentle pump overs, and maturation in French oak barrels. The aim is finesse over power, letting the vineyard's character shine. Harvested in March 2015 after a cool, even season, this Bordeaux-style blend offers a velvety ruby core. On the nose, expect blackcurrant, leaf, cigar box, and a whisper of graphite. The palate delivers ripe cassis, dark cherry, and fine-grained tannins that taper into a silky, spice-kissed finish. An estate anecdote: the very first bottles of this vintage were personally couriered to the French embassy in Pretoria for a gala dinner celebrating South Africa, French cultural ties. Such is the esteem for this wine among both locals and collectors. Having a look at the new 464, she is an absolutely beautiful vessel, as are all the Balances. You know that I'm a sucker for this brand. I just think they do an amazing job. Here, they've done things like recessed the solar panels into the coach roof so that they hold the same profile as the coach roof, yet as well as still have airspace underneath for high efficiency. of these always glass panels. Of course, always a solid glass windows without grazing, and you just have a far more of them now and far bigger in the new 464. Having a quick look at the exterior profiles here, who we're comparing this to, we've got the previous model, the Balance 442, the new Balance 464, the Ultramare 45, and the HH44 SC. On profile, overall, I would say the HH44 SC has it. But Balance has a very distinctive profile, and it's extremely attractive. Heading onto the coach roof, we can see that all of them are pretty straightforward. The Balances are not showing their optional solar panels here, but they have extensive high-efficiency glass solar. Phil favors this over the walk-on, feeling that it lasts longer and is far more efficient. I believe he's right. Ultramare, I don't believe that they have any factory solar offered on the 45, and of course we now have the new 48 coming out. But coach roof, very clean on all of these. Of course, the Balance having that lovely mid bulkhead helm with the Versa helm that slides down in with just a tremendous view out the front windows, and a nice seat and full repeat of controls down below. I've sat in it. It looks so good and feels so good. You feel very in control of the vessel. It's very easy to observe all the corners and feel comfortable at the helm. The Ultramare 45. Again, mid-helm with that wonderful aft molded seat on the aft port side. We saw Riley there. I mean, one of his phrases that stands out is that everybody should be able to sit here and have this view out over the bow at least once in their life. Certainly has stuck in my head. HH44 SC, very innovative with those drop-down aft sugar scoop doors. Of course, they have the solar panel option over the davits, as well as the full solar on the roof. The forward area there, you've got those massive opening forward cockpit windows, saloon windows. Now, Phil discusses those a little bit, and he's not in favor of those due to the threat of water ingress into the cabin and onto electronics. The 44 SC, if you could just barely see it in the very tips of the hulls there, they have custom massive forward four-peak doors or hatches. They're not the off-the-shelf glass or plexiglass hatches. These are molded-in hatches that give you massive access to those four peaks. Heading to the interior here now, we'll start with the 44 SC. Again, the drop-down transoms really give you some added water access as well as added security for midnight boarding that you may not want. Into a spacious cockpit, you've got the aft helms, which, in my opinion, probably the best of all worlds, the way they've got them situated, because they do have the Versa helm. That helm will slide all the way out to the hulls so that you can see up and over the cabin top roof, the hard bimini, and you can see your sails. It slides mid, and then it slides all the way in so that you're looking through the windows of your saloon and out the front in case of inclement weather, and you have a clear running space back and forth between the two helms, which I really like. They also have drop-down seats there. It's overall a great cockpit and a great control area. Moving into the saloon, you can see to the starboard, or to the port, a wonderful U-shaped galley, and for lots of stability there. And then forward, you've got the settee, or the forward starboard side, and a very, very nice forward-facing nav station on the forward port. The Ultramare 45, we're painfully familiar with this one. Of course, we've watched lots of Sailing the Vagabond and seen the interior of this. The aft cockpit, Very nice, very secure on the upside. To me, a little too isolated from the water. But if you had kids, you had pets, this is the bee's knees. Certainly lots of space, and you have the raised helm on one side and the lovely aft molded seat with tiller on the other hull. Moving inside, you have an L-shaped galley to the aft starboard, and then kitty corner you have the settee with table, and then straight across from the galley up forward, you had a forward-facing nav. The aesthetic is more minimalist than, say, the HH44. You probably heard my review of this 44SC a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. What they have done, HH does a brilliant job of interior finishes and overall designs, and it really felt like the ML of catamarans, and that is a high compliment. The Ultramar 45, always very lovely in their curves, their lines, their designs, not quite as rich in their finishes, a little more minimalist. Now, the Balance 442, wonderful vessel. This vessel surprised me when I was on board. She feels the same size as the 482. And not massively different from the 526. Not as much as you would think. It's quite remarkable the sense of space that they have created in this vessel. And you get onto the aft sugar scoops and up, you've got a lovely aft settee with a barbecue built in. Bless their hearts. And then, of course, you have the lower helm station below the bulkhead-mounted helm on the starboard hull, and that looks up forward. Then over to the left, you've got over to the porch, you've got the settee and a nice table there. Moving in, you've got a decent-sized U-shaped galley there on the aft starboard, which leaves you nice and secure. Straightforward of that, you have either a very nice navigation desk, forward-facing nav station, or some prefer to put a whole bank of drawers in there instead of space for the chair underneath. And then you've got a very nice wraparound U-shaped settee with a table in there. The table is much more traditional. It's I really like what Fountain Peugeot has done, where they admit 95% of the time you're going to be eating in the large cockpit settee. So why take up masses of space with a big eating table in your limited space saloon? And they have a coffee table style thing. But Balance didn't do that on this one. Overall, a really nice feel. If you're at a boat show, you'll see Phil perched on that back to the forward windows, feet stuck out towards the aft there. It's actually an outstanding spot there if you think of that middle jut out as a great place to sit, and you can see right out the back. Now, heading to the Balance 464, let's zip down in a little closer here. So again, all of the dimensions, all of those wonderful bits of the 442, just bigger. So a beautiful aft settee, built-in barbecue, thumbs up there. Nobody should be building a new design without a built-in barbecue, or at least an option to have it. And it's well away from the cockpit, so your smells and stuff aren't getting in there. A lot more space around the lower cockpit, the lower helm station here. Again, you've got that bulkhead-mounted helm on the Versa helm that slides down in. And you've got a bigger aft-faced settee. You've got a bigger seat facing forward, which it really needed a little more depth to that seat, and they've done that here so that when you're at the lower helm, you've got a really comfortable perch looking straight forward. And a lovely, again, L-shaped settee and dining table on the port side. Moving in, again, you've got a wraparound U-shaped galley, tremendous if you're in heavy seas. Then you've got a lot more fridge space over on the aft port side. Port forward, you've got a wonderful settee. Now, what they've done here is they have actually brought in an Italian interior designer, and you will see it in the renders where it's just added that bit of finesse. Now, again, Outremer has that internally. They've done a beautiful job of their shapes and the looks and the sophistication of the feel. I think Balance has now accomplished that in there with the benefit of richer, warmer finishes and veneers and things of that nature. They do a beautiful job with their beautiful lightweight foam cord veneers inside here. The other thing they've done in this one is taken a page out of Fountain Peugeot's book and made that center table, you don't really see it here, but you will see it in the renders, a coffee table option. And again, Outremer does that fantastically in the 52 and the 55. They have that option as well. And you'll see it. It opens the whole interior up. Then again, forward starboard, you have the much more expanded, beautiful forward-facing nav, or you can elect to fill in that spot with drawers as you wish. But, just a real upgrade to the fit, not the fit and finish, it's always been beautifully fit and finished, but the feel, the design, the aesthetic element of the interior, really bringing it really up nicely. Okay, let's look at our accommodations. The HH44SC, your owner's hull on the starboard there, it's narrow. Look at the size of these hulls, and of course, that is for the performance side. The SC that was at Le Grand Mont this year, the finishes were so warm and beautiful that really they were so well executed. You walked back. My prejudice against a butt scoot bed almost evaporated. The other thing is that the aft window above the headboard in that fore aft master's hull is so gigantic. It sort of removes that feeling of a claustrophobia as you're quite low in this bed. They also have great hull windows there. Overall, I'm starting to lean more towards this, although still I hate making a bed in this configuration. And I would far rather have three-side access. Moving forward, again, all the finishes just make this feel extremely elegant, and you head forward into a beautiful masterhead, absolutely gorgeous. Over on the passenger side, again, sort of a mirror in your VIP suite in the aft. Again, those windows will leave you gobsmacked when you see them. Heading forward, you've got a flex space up there that you can turn into any number of things, as we see in a lot of the designs. Outremer 45, again, typical butt scoot beds. The owner's is on the starboard. Heading up, you've got a reasonable owner's head there and shower. It is very functional, but it's in these hulls where Outremer starts to lose some of its appeal in the nature of the finishes and things. I know I'm getting very aesthetic here, and the real sailors in the crowd will be shaking their heads, but those who have wives and are trying to convince them will know exactly what I mean. It's functional, it's great, it's not the level that the HHs or the Balances are as far as the warmth of the finish and the sense of luxury. Much more a practical aesthetic, if you will. Over on the passenger side or the guest side, again, you have the fore aft butt scoot, and then a mid shared head and shower, and a fairly small forward berth there. The Balance 442. I love what Balance does in a performance cruising cat. The owner's hull is the starboard, and the owner's berth is the forward athwartship with full three-side access. You can also sit up completely in this bed. You also have not only a hatch above in the deck, but a hatch in the wall that faces inside into the it leads into a locker, which means that you can lift the lid of the locker, have air scooping in there, and have this window open above your head even when it's raining outside, and you have nice airflow in there without threat of water ingress. The other beautiful thing about this configuration, other than the fact that I can easily get to both sides of this bed and make this bed easily, is it turns the forepeak then into a potential walk-in closet, or well, at least full cabin access to the forepeak storage. So you can do whatever you want. Sylvia can store all sorts of clothes up there. If I set it up right, you can do anything you want with that. And again, that is just a huge benefit to this hull configuration. Heading back again, all of the finishes are so warm inside. There's lots of stowage on either side and into the back. And in the 442, that aft bathroom shower area, which feels oversized in the 526 and even in the 484. In the 442, it completely came into its own. The dimensions felt right. Heading over to the passenger side, you have a fore-aft butt scoot for guests in the back there. And it can also be configured, I believe, into a convertible office environment, if I recall correctly. And heading forward, you have a beautiful VIP athwartship three-side access. Okay, let's head now in and take a closer look at the new 464. So here we again have the starboard owner's suite. It's basically very similar to the 442, just bigger. And having said that, again, our Italian friends and the designers were brought in, and they've really upped the game on the cabinetry, the design, just the corners, just the way the whole thing feels. And it has just, taken all of the beautiful cabinetry work and soft goods work that Balance does at their factory and just elevated the impact. So I just think it's tremendous. I won't go into much more. It's very similar with its features and benefits to the 442. The passenger side on the port side there, again, same scenario. You've got a midships head and shower, a lovely forward VIP cabin, and a butt scoot fore-aft guest cabin in the aft there. Looking at the numbers now, we head across the top line, and this is one that may raise some eyebrows. So we've got the Ultramar 45, last price, of course, this is no longer a current model, at about €750,000. The next one up from there is the HH44SC at 1.122, so €1,122,000. The next up from there, again, no longer a current model, is the Balance 442. So Ultramar 45 at 743,000. Then you hopped to the Balance 442 at 848,000. Now you hop to the HH44SC at 1.122, and then almost equivalent to that is the new 464 at 1.187, or really 1.2 million, almost a 50% hop from the 442. Having said that, this is a bigger yacht, both obviously beam and length overall, and it is a structurally and feature-wise, it is a more advanced yacht with a carbon core that we will have a look at, as well as being a pure vinyl ester hull, which the only one that can compare to that would be the HH44SC. Looking across at the length overall, the longest here is the HH at 50.2 feet. The next one is the Ultramar at 48 feet. The next one is the 464 at 46.5 feet. And the last is the older 442 at 44.3 feet. The beam here on these, the beamiest is the both the balances, which have an equivalent beam. So 24.9, 25-foot beam on both of them, which may account for the feeling of space in the 442, even though it's a shorter vessel. So then the next one will be the Outremer at 23.6, and finally the HH at basically 23 and a half feet. Draft with the boards up. The lightest draft here is the 464 at 1.14 meters or 3.72 feet. The next is going to be the 442 at 1.16 or 2. Looking at draft with the boards up, the shallowest draft is going to be the 464 at 1.14 meters or 3.72 feet. The next is the 442, which was just slightly deeper at 1.16 or 3.81 feet. The next is the HH at 1.2 meters or 3.49 feet, 4 feet. And finally, it's the Outremer at 1.25 meters or 4.1 feet. The lightship displacement on these, we're looking at the lightest here, which always amazes me. It's the Outremer at 8.7 tons or 19,200 pounds. And, you know, it's not an all vinyl ester. It's not an all epoxy. I just don't quite know how they manage it, but they manage it on every single boat. They come up with a remarkable lightship displacement. Next is the HH at 10.6 tons or 22,487. The next up is the 464. And bearing in mind, this is a larger boat than the 442, but you can see the carbon and the vinyl ester here because you're at 11.5 tons or 25,353 pounds versus the 442, the smaller vessel, at 11.8 tons or 26,014 pounds. I wish Leopard would take a page out of Balance's book and start to shed some tons on their modern reiterations of their models. Payload capacity on these. This is where the 464 really shines. Your payload capacity on this is 6 tons. And, you know, one of the reasons for the 464 being a little bigger, longer waterline was they are putting some heavier gear in the transoms in the way of additional lithium and a hybrid option using the integral system. So it's a wonderful payload at 6 tons. The next closest one here is quite a distance off. That's the HH at about 4 tons. And then you've got the 442 at almost half of what the 464 is at 3.5 tons. And the Outremer, I guess you're paying for the way they managed to get their lightship down. You've only got really 2.5 tons of payload capacity there. Upwind sail area on these, again, you've got the 464 increasing that to 114.5 square meters or 1,232 square feet. Next is going to be the Outremer at 106 square meters or 1,140 square feet. Next is the 442 at 105.4 square meters or 1,135 square feet. And then finally, and surprisingly, the smallest is the HH44SC at 97.4 square meters or about 1,050 square feet. You're looking at your engines now. The 442 had twin 29s. The 464 has twin 45s or twin What is the integral? I think it's 25 kilowatt. I'll have to confirm with you. Then you've got the Ultramare 45. No hybrid option on it yet, or the new 48 at twin 30s, and the HH at twin 30s or twin 10 kilowatt electric hybrid drives. Fuel tank and water tank capacity in the lead by quite a long shot are the Balances at 800 fuel, 700 water. Next is the HH at 550 fuel, 400 water. And finally, the Ultramare at 336 liters of fuel and 407 of water. Black water capacity for the Balances is at 84 liters, 22 gallons. And on the HH, it's 80 liters or 21 gallons, and Ultramare unknown at this time. Moving to the interior dimensions, and here our friends at Balance shine like a star because they have their interior usable dimensions always listed, and every single manufacturer should have these listed because more and more these are liveaboard vessels, and we'd like to know what the usable square footage or cubic footage is for storage for our new floating home. On the 442 and 464, your interior area is the same at 571 square feet. Your exterior area is the same at 628 square feet. Your interior enclosed storage and your exterior storage, again, both the same. 45, these are e-glass and carbon reinforced. Vinyl ester on the inside, vinyl ester on the outer layer, polyester on the inner layer. The battery capacities and banks were a little difficult to find. Ultramare, you've got 6.3 kilowatt hours of AGM. The HH, you've got 7.68 on the standard diesel configuration, but with the hybrid configuration, you've got up to 50.4 kilowatt hours. Also, the Balance has 2,200 watts of glass solar available. The HH has almost double that at 4,100 watts, but it's flexible walk-on solar, so a little lower lifespan and a little less efficiency. Okay, getting into the performance numbers here. So sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power. Here the highest number wins, and it is the Ultramare at 25.4. That's followed by the 464 at 22.8, the HH at 21, and the 442 at 20.6. Displacement to hull length at the waterline, or indicator of heaviness. Here the lowest number wins, and again, it's the Ultramare at 96.5, followed by the 464 at 112.1, and then the HH at 119, and the 442 at 133.7. So obviously, Balance made some great gains on both sail area displacement and displacement to hull length at the waterline. Looking now at the KSP number, or the indicator of theoretical performance, percentage of wind speed in 10 knots of wind. Here, the winner is the Ultramare again at 81%. Next up is the 464 at 75%, which is a substantial increase over the 442 at 70%. The HH Catamaran, the HH 44SC at 72%. If you're enjoying the content, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button. Having said that, I'm never going to pay for a catamaran that will convince Sylvia to circumnavigate the globe with YouTube revenue. To that end, I hope you don't think ill of me if I seek the help of this audience to generate referrals for my company, REDUxEngineering. Redux helps $20 to $250 million tech and hard goods manufacturers in North America and Europe to reduce the cost of their parts and subassemblies by 20 to 50%, dramatically improving the health and strength of these small to medium-sized businesses. Our proprietary cost-down process combines design for manufacturing engineering inputs up front with offshore sourcing and on-site quality control across a pre-vetted network of top-quality manufacturing partners in low-cost countries globally. We make it safe and simple for small to medium-sized manufacturers to access the savings that larger enterprises take for granted. What's more, the model is contingency-based with no upfront costs or risks. If you would like more information, please check out our website. And if you have people in your network who own or run this kind of manufacturer and would be able to introduce me, please reach out to me at dorton@REDUxEngineering.com. Along with my gratitude, we have an attractive referral program that just may help your sailing budget in a very practical way. Having another look at the outside of this vessel, I mean, she is a very, very handsome boat in every way, shape, or form. You can see the new hull design there with the inset windows, as opposed to this actually is a 442. But the new 464 right there, you can see the flush solar panels on top and the inset hull windows, very attractive. Hopping on board, what would Sylvia say? Well, Sylvia would love this. And there she is, perched up on the port side, fore-aft settee, looking at grandchildren, I hope, bouncing around in the water. And you've got down below there a very comfortable L-shaped settee with your dining table, and then a very nice aft-facing settee behind the bulkhead helm there, just aft of the lower helm area. Again, a really nice setup here with that Versa helm. Slides down there in the wet weather, a cover slides across your upper helm, and Bob's your uncle. You're looking right through that massive opening into the saloon through those huge front windows. And you'll note the center front window no longer has a pillar in the very center. It's a huge sheet of glass with much larger ventilation windows, again up high so that water ingress isn't a possibility onto the electronics. So just a beautiful spot. Looking at it from another angle here over from the port side across, so you can see a little bit more of that forward-facing lower helm. Let's scoot over to that helm area there. You can see now how attractive this is. Now this is a 442, but it gives you a sense of exactly the space you have here, and now you've got a larger seat. That was a little constrained there, but look at how wonderful the overall repeat of all your controls and all of your necessary electronics are. The space that you've got in this area, it's absolutely tremendous, with a fabulous view out the front, and there's your cover that can pull across your opening of where your upper helm is. Just, a really great feel to this. You've got, I'm not sure if you could see it there along the front lip of the upper helm. You've got a lovely piece of carbon there, little details like that, fabulous line handling, just a really tremendous spot with tremendous views down the side hull and down up at the actual sails. It looks really, really good. And remember now on the new 464, those solar panels are going to be inset and flat, but still have lots of air ventilation. Look at that beautiful specially cut drain area there. Okay, let's head into the saloon and have a look around. Now here is where the Italians come in play. So you can see the rounded corners, the continuation of the fabric from the soft goods down further. You can see that wonderful now coffee table setup. Look how that elegant that makes this whole interior feel. Look at that beautiful forward-facing nav station chair, how integrated it looks, the size of that nav station, just the overall look and feel is just that much better. Here from another angle, looking across from the port side, you can see that beautiful control station, your forward-facing nav, and you can get a sense of what kind of a view you have, because of course your settee is perched up about 8 inches here, and you've got lots and lots of space for refrigeration there, and then looking into the U-shaped galley, you can see how lovely you've got your fully electric kitchen there, And again, Phil and the crew have created some custom-made drainage areas. You can't quite see them here, but they're set into the countertop, those beautiful Korean countertops. And let's move into a little naval gazing this week. HP Genius is the complete solution for providing drinking water on board. A water dispenser directly connected to a tank-linked water distribution system producing purified, chilled, and/or sparkling water. Now that is something I like. With HP Genius, bacteria-free purified water with no unpleasant chlorine taste can be obtained directly from the tap in the galley, where the device is usually installed. The ultrafiltration system removes all traces of chlorine, trapping all bacteria and large numbers of pollutants, with the potential to contaminate water as it travels from the tank to the tap, metals, pesticides, hydrocarbons, that sort of thing. The bactericidal silver ion treatment system sterilizes the water at the point of exit. Lastly, a remineralizing filter enriches the water with precious minerals, giving it a pleasant taste. The result is water that contains all the beneficial trace elements of mineral salts, which our body needs, and is sterilized, drinkable, and pure spring water. What's more, HP Genius produces water to suit all tastes: chilled, room temperature, and sparkling. Okay, back on board, we're on the starboard side in the kitchen, the galley looking across, and you can see the lovely electric cooktop, the induction cooktop. You can also see a little bit of that custom-made drainage area I told you about along the backsplash. Heading across the L-shaped island, looking over at the forward-facing nav, you can see how absolutely attractive that is. Massive spaces for dual chart plotters, which is fantastic. You can also see those forward-facing windows and beautiful ventilation out the front there. Now we're going to head down into the starboard owner's hull here. And bearing in mind, this is the originally the 442, but gives you a sense of the space and the level of finish and the beautiful integrated lighting. Everything is done. These doors, you can't believe how light they are, because of course they are foam core. and loads of storage space, a wonderful aft shower area here where you can hang your foul weather gear, lots of ventilation, lots of light. You just couldn't ask for more. It's absolutely tremendous. So heading up into the owner's berth here. Now this is the new owner's berth design with those beautiful rounded corners, just a whole additional sense of style. I think it's really tremendous. And of course, across the way there into the forepeak, you can see your closet door that will lead to what would inevitably be Sylvia's walk-in closet. Lovely headboard area. And I just want to give you a sense of the space you have in this. Look, full access up the side. No problem making this bed in any way, shape, or form. And there's Andrew. And he's a tall guy, and he can easily sit up full upright in this bed. Lovely headboard behind it, backing out just to get a sense of the cabinetry and the additional style that's been incorporated here. And then there is that forepeak. I mean, it is tremendous to have this kind of access to this forepeak. So, I mean, what a tremendous master suite. So backing out from there, and heading over to the portside passenger cabin, we're down here now. You've got that mid-hull head and shower, and you've got the aft guest berth. And then heading forward, again, lots of stowage space. Very nice shower. One thing to note, your emergency hatch is in the shower. Given their reputation of constantly leaking, that is tremendous. Lots of window space in the portholes, lots of style, really a beautiful, elegant VIP suite with lots of access up either side. Okay, back into the lovely, lovely saloon, backing out, having a look at the style elements here. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, let's talk about their hybrid solution. Again, they are using the integral a hybrid solution. And Integral have just done a tremendous job at really high-end, highly well-managed, I'll call them, they're obviously large alternators, but they work better than just standard large alternators. And Balance has always been cautious on introducing new technologies like this. And as a result, they are highly successful in their deployments. And so, very few of the Balances actually have a generator on board anymore because they're using the Integral alternator to generate masses. I think it's 9 kilowatts a side to go to their lithium battery bank. Well, Integral has now come up with not just the alternator solution, but an actual integrated electric motor, which you can see in this picture here. It's the colored bit off the engine at high efficiency levels. You can run the engine only. You can run the electric motor only. And so just a tremendous solution, massive lithium battery bank that goes along with it. Again, really nicely done. Great service from the Integral folks and a great relationship there between Balance and Integral. Okay, another change on this is the replacement of the board that actually usually has to slip in on the sugar scoop if you want to close that area off for kids and animals and any backwash that comes in from following waves. There's an integrated hatch that goes over top the engine access hatch and can flip up easily. So you no longer have to stow that board anywhere. It's already integrated. And of course, if that board, if this hatch is up, and you're accessing the engine room, you're protected from any following waves as well. So, really quite a nice, simple solution for a problem. Now, of course, my preference is what HH has done with that transom door, similar to monohulls. But this is pretty cool. The next innovation, of course, is the carbon core. So they have done a tremendous job at enhancing the carbon content, all the bulkheads, a whole bunch of the deck, the lower hull decks. Well, you can see it here. It's all over the place. So a much stiffer boat, and as we saw, it's shed some weight as well. You've also got carbon rudders and carbon dagger boards. So it's all over the place. The next one is they've taken the crossbeam and they've dropped it down, moved it forward and below the longeron, which is really nice. That's increased the size of the self-tacking jib, increasing performance for those of us who are lazy. The other thing is that Balance now offers a built-in furling motor in the longeron so that you can have your downwind sails motorized top-down furling, which is really very nice. Okay, what are we going to compare this to on the pre-owned market? Well, first up is a 2022 Balance 482. They are looking for 1.5 versus our 1.9 on the new 464. This is interesting. It would be a real bit of a toss-up, but I think I would go the 464. I've noted that there's just not that much difference in the feel of the interior between the two. And I favor the aesthetic, the new Italian aesthetic of the interior, as well as the pure vinyl ester hull and a few things like that massive forward window, etc., etc. Next up, we're looking at a 2022 Ultramar 45. It's a 3-year-old boat. They're looking $950 versus 1.9. This would be a bit challenging. If I had the money, I would do the Balance 464. But the 45, the Ultramar 45 is a very nice vessel, a very competent vessel, as we've seen in the numbers, and you have a tremendous community and a tremendous manufacturer support, as well as the grand access to the Grand Large circumnavigation, the 3-year circumnavigation rally. I wouldn't feel too hard done by saving the million and going with the Outremer on this one. Next up is a 2023 442, so we're talking a 2-year-old boat. They want 1.250 versus the 1.9. That's 700 grand. I do the 442, but only just barely. I really like the 464 and what they've done. Next up is in 2022 XS15. So a 3-year-old boat, obviously not anywhere near the level of performance, but still a pretty cool boat. They're looking for $1 million. No, I would definitely spend the 900 if I had it and I'd get the Balance. Next is a 2023 Naughty 46 open. They're looking for 927. This one I'd have to save the million. Naughty does a very nice job. No, it's not going to be the same performance, but the Naughty does such a fine job on their interiors, on their general layouts, massive port windows, all that good stuff. I wouldn't feel hard done by saving the million and getting the Naughty. Okay. Monohull heresy. What do we compare this to on the monohulls? Bearing in mind we add 20% to length, get equivalent living space. So first up, we're looking at a 2022 Jeanneau Yacht 60, one of my favorite yachts of all time. They are looking for 1.285 versus 1.9. I'd have to do the Jeanneau 60 with the hard top. It's just such a pretty boat. Next up is a 2019 Oyster 565. So 6-year-old boat. They're looking for 2.392. I love oysters, and you got access to, again, a fabulous community with the Oyster World Rally and things of that nature. But no, I'd save money and get a brand new Balance for 1.9. I'd pocket the 400 grand for sure, and Sylvia would be much happier. Next up is one of my favorites, a 2019 588 Hansa with the hard top. So we're looking again at a 6-year-old vessel. They're asking 790,000 versus 1.9. I'd have to pocket the 2 million, or I'd have to pocket the 1.2 million and do the Hansa 588. Next is a 2018, so 7-year-old vessel, Jeanneau 58. They're looking at 480,000. Now, this is a very nice vessel. 480 grand. Wow, that's 1.5 million delta. Okay, shoot me in the head, but for my project, I'd have to do the Jeanneau. Next up is the Hylas, a 2021 Hylas H57. At 4 years old. I toured this with the designer and his son. It is a gorgeous vessel, but no, I'm not doing 2.3 million US for a 4-year-old Hylas when I could save $500,000 and have the Balance 464, which I believe is easily as high quality a vessel. Okay, the Dave score. How did she do? Okay, down to, she comes up real fast, and that's no surprise. Let's have a closer look here. We're looking at 79 out of 100. And so we've got interior elegance. She bumps up to a 9. Just, a really, really elegant vessel now with the Italian designers in play. I think they've done a brilliant job. Exterior elegance, we're going to give it an 8. Interior comfort, we're giving it an 8. Exterior comfort, we're giving it a 7. Some of these are a little lower because you don't have, forward cockpits and flying lounges and things of that nature. Quality, I'm going to give it a 9. I get on board a Balance Catamaran, and knowing nothing, you get on board that thing and you go, holy mackerel, this feels different than almost any other boat. It just feels built. And knowing this is now carbon core with a vinyl ester hull, it just takes it to the next level. Performance is a solid 8. Lazy Sailor is an 8. Condo is an 8, which is significant in a vessel of this size. Geek about 7. There's not a lot to geek out about. And value for the money is 7. The only reason that's not higher is, it did bump up the price of a small house. I get that the value is there, but it's an expensive vessel. So a 7 out of 10. But overall, just a tremendous score, a tremendous vessel. I know that Sylvia would love this vessel. I certainly would. Well, that's another week of Waves, Wine, Art, and Ideas. I do hope you enjoyed it. I can't help but gush over Balance. It was the Balance 482 and the HH50 were two of the first catamarans I ever stepped on board. And man, it's all downhill from there. But the Balance, I remember walking out onto that longeron and just the sense of ruggedness and durability, and sitting in the saloon, and the feeling of just every surface felt solid and real high quality. And the approach that Phil and his team take by really testing stuff out, not jumping on bandwagons right out of the gate, but waiting and slowly introducing them. I think it shows in their history and their quality and the culture that they're building around that brand. I think it's just tremendous. You can't go wrong buying a Balance. Your banker may disagree, but long term, it's just such a beautiful vessel. So stick around for next week. We got another one coming. Till then, I'm going to leave you with Irma Stern, Fishing Boats on the Beach from 1931. Thanks and have a great week.